Hello, my name is Trevor. I'm here with AIM Audio, based out of Berlin, Germany. We're here at NAMM 2025. I've got the Inspire microphone. This is the labor of love of 4 years of hard development. And over yonder we have Essence, the sort of little sibling to Inspire, the slightly more pared down, minimalist version of it. Um, Essentially, what we wanted to do is, why make a microphone at this stage in the game? You know, it's such a time-honored and slightly grandfathered in industry. What could we really bring to the table? So what we wanted to do is honor the history before us, while still forging our own path forward. And this is the result of this philosophy. So we wanted to make something that was flexible and useful and innovate in ways that actually provide real that actually provides something for the end user that's not just doesn't rely on gimmicks or kitschy features, whatever it is. We were here at NAMM last year, and we've had a couple of upgrades since then. It's still the same concept as last year, but there's a few things that are better. Namely, the finish is a beautiful matte black. It's quite sexy in person. It kind of is looking like a stealth bomber or something of that nature. Before it was a little bit more gloss, and it wasn't quite right. Like the condensation of your fingers just didn't look great on it. Now it's like a lovely package. It has a nice matte feeling to it. We've also upgraded the pattern select wheel here. Last year it was plastic. It's a little finicky. It worked, but it wasn't amazing. Now it has a wonderful tactile snap to it, and it just feels much better under the fingers. The main thing that we spent the last year on, the shock mount. Last year when we were here, we had a very beautiful mic holder, but it was not a very effective shock mount. It wasn't really doing the job that we needed it to do. And we wanted to ship it earlier in the year last year, but we just couldn't do it without being sure that the shock mount is exactly how we wanted it. So we spent most of this last year really fine-tuning it, trying everything, starting from scratch, completely redesigning it, and making something that now is honestly shockingly better than it was before. So it still has the same sort of sleek, low-profile design. It still can do the 190-degree revolution here. I'll just demonstrate that shortly. Oh boy. So it's extremely flexible for just about any recording situation you're going to put it in. It's great for overheads, drum overheads. If you're trying to get into a really tight recording space, maybe you're recording against a guitar cabinet. Shock mounts are a necessary part of any good microphone, but any good condenser microphone or ribbon, whatever it is. But they tend to be quite bulky. They tend to be quite finicky. We wanted to make something that was easy to use and also sleek and small and can fit into tight corners, while still being able to access the front controls here. It's super easy to use. Also the pop filter, we actually have a... up until now we were just doing some sort of pre-production 3D printed versions of it, but we do have a close to final production version of it. Still snaps on just as satisfyingly as it did last year, but now it is, instead of just being 3D printed, it's actually the mesh is a much finer detail to it, and this hexagonal shape is actually extremely ideal for plosive absorption. It's quite effective at what it's supposed to do. Still snaps right on there. And so the main thing about this that we had to redesign over the last year was just the actual shock absorption. Like I was saying, it wasn't really doing the thing it's supposed to do last year. And now you shake it, you tap it anywhere you want. You could be recording on you'd be recording on a wooden dance floor, floating, you'd be in the middle of the ocean on a sailboat with creaky floorboards, and you're not going to get almost any residual vibrations. You're not going to be able to hear it, at least. So the shock mount has been greatly upgraded, which is, there's some other mechanical upgrades inside it, but ultimately it's still the same. It's still the same thing that we wanted in the beginning, but it's just better now. You know, it still has our our patented output stage select between a transformer or electronically based output stage. It's level matched, it's instant, it's seamless. As someone who loves to A/B things, I can A/B all day. It's an absolute dream to use. So you can switch between the extremely fast transient response and accurate and clean electronic output stage, or the slightly more smeared, skewed, slower transient response, slightly more colorful, characterful transformer stage. Now, we didn't just throw a transformer in the output path or any kind of like cheap trickery or like that. They're actually two completely discrete circuits. So you're like when you select between the two, level matched, instant switching between the two, they're completely discrete from each other. And it leads to a ton of tonal possibilities. I mean, the transformer is great for finger-picked acoustic guitar, for piano, sounds great on vocals, whereas the electronic output is great for drums, strummed acoustic guitar, other percussive kind of things. So it opens up a ton of possibilities. It's the only microphone that can do this, honestly. Otherwise, there's also the directional control with the cardioid modes. You can select between it listening to the front here. Let's say you're recording yourself and you want access to the controls. Maybe have as a drum overhead. You want to be able to get to those controls. You know, it's be a pain if it was facing the other way. But then maybe you're recording the soundboard of a piano or putting it up against a guitar cab. You're going to want it facing this way. So you just switch that there, and now it's listening to the other side. So super flexible, again. We're trying to make it just like as versatile as possible and as easy to use as possible. We're aiming at anywhere from the home studio hobbyist up to the sort of prosumers into the professional studios. You know, if you know what you're doing, it's going to be easy. It's going to be super easy to use. If you don't know what you're doing, you're going to have a lot of fun with it. Otherwise, you got your filters. We have a low cut at 80 hertz right here and a roll off at 110 hertz, two pads at -10 and -20 decibels respectively, and the LED peak level indicator here. So this will glow orange when you're sort of flying a little too close to the sun, maybe it's getting a little hot, and then it's going to go red when you're in the danger zone. Now, the internal electronics of this can actually handle a dynamic range of up to 140 decibels, a whopping 140 decibels. But we realize most of the gear that people are going to be using this with can't actually handle that wide of a dynamic range. So this peak level indicator LED here is actually, the threshold is set much, much lower than what the internal electronics can handle. So even though Inspire can handle anything from your overzealous drummer to your small jet engine turbine takeoff. Again, we realize your interface might not be able to, your preamp. So this LED just helps you know if it glows orange, maybe engage the -10. If it's glowing red, maybe the -20. If it's still glowing red, I can't help you. Otherwise, we got the 5 different polar patterns here. Starts at Omni, and it flashes while the voltage supplied to the capsule regulates itself, moves through cardioid modes. We got wide cardioid, hypercardioid, and figure of 8. And to top it all off, the thing that makes this microphone just sound so good, because all these features are great, but if it doesn't sound good, what's the point? Is this dual 1-inch gold-sputtered Mylar capsule. See, that's about to regulate itself shortly here. The figure of 8 takes the longest. I don't know why. I'm not an electrical engineer. I'm a musician. There it is. So the capsule itself, we spent about a year testing over 50 different capsules against a panel of audio engineers, experts, musicians, anyone who had an opinion. And we didn't stop until we found the capsule that won out every time, or basically every time. And it's honestly, I mean, I can say this anecdotally because I've been using this for a few months now. It's a beautiful sounding capsule. It cuts way above its price range. And it's super, like, it just, all in all, it adds up to be a very flexible and versatile package that can really handle whatever you put at it. You know, it's good for vocalists, it's good for drummers, it's good for just about anything. I mean, I put it up against a lot of different things and it's worked very well. So we're aiming for about an $849 US MAP final price. That's the Inspire with the shock mount, with the pop filter, and this lovely little flight case here and a leatherette. $849 gets you the whole package You know, you can throw this in a backpack. You get an audio interface, an XLR, and a mic stand, and you got a very capable recording setup in a very small form factor. And in essence, the slightly more minimalist version of Inspire, it does have a filter and it does have a pad. It has a peak level indicator, but it's single pattern, so just cardioid. Which, you know, it's everyone's favorite polar pattern after all. And it does have our patented output stage switching, so it has all the the goodies of Inspire, but maybe just a few less options for those who just want the sheer tonality and the flexibility of Inspire without maybe the excess price range. So this one we're looking at $629 just for the microphone. And yeah, altogether, I mean, this was 4 years. This was a labor of love. 4 years of hard development. That is honestly, I can say honestly, you know, because I wasn't there for most of the development. I'm only coming in now as someone to sort of help the final push of it. It's an amazing microphone. It honestly does a lot. Like, it can really handle a lot. I can say that honestly. And so, yeah, this is what we do. It's hand-built in Berlin by my coworker, Xavier. He sits over there working hard, and I just sort of watch him. Yeah, I mean, we're very proud of what we've made here.